Hi everyone, my name is Joyce and today I'm going to be sharing what it was like leaving the comforts of dental school and, in my case, residency, and entering the real world. I had graduated with around $325,000 of student loans, and what I had to do was put them on forbearance, which means you don't have to make your payments, but the interest is still accruing. So that's what I did, and it's because I couldn't afford to pay my student loans back in that period of time. Once I got my first job going though, I took it off forbearance and I started paying them back. It was really scary. The educational bubble was all that I knew. I didn't know what it was like working in the real world, except for Pacific Sunwear when I was in high school. And because of that, I struggled with this, like, maybe I should specialize. Maybe I should prolong my time in this bubble where, you know, if I mess up, the hospital will take care of it. So once you leave that, you're accountable for everything that you do. You could get sued. You could lose your job, you could get fired. There is no excuse for you now being a beginner dentist. You are a full-fledged dentist. Patients don't care if you've only been out of school for 1 year. In fact, they don't want to see you because you've only been out for 1 year. I had no job experience. So what did I put? I put where I graduated from, my residency, all of the continuing education that I did up to that point, all the systems that I'm familiar with. Like, I can type 100 words per minute. Like, I put that on there, even though, you know, it may seem so stupid, but I had nothing else to put. So then I'd write my CV and I wrote a cover letter saying, "Hi, my name is Joyce. I just graduated. I don't have a license yet, but I want to give you my CV so that you have it if you're looking to hire in the next couple of months." All those CVs and cover letters that I sent out to employers, it really was a waste of my time because nobody was looking for someone who didn't have a license and who couldn't get started right away and who didn't have any job experience. And really, when you first graduate and you have no job experience or no connections in a city, you're looking at jobs that are kind of bottom of the barrel, jobs that other people with experience are not going to take. So what I had to do, because I was considered an independent contractor, is get a corporation set up. In that corporation, then I could put all of my paychecks in it and then have a business account and then pay myself through that and then keep whatever to pay off my taxes. So if you are an employee, you don't have to do that. But if you are an independent contractor, you really should think about it. I formed my S Corp through my family CPA. I paid them, and yeah, I had that ever since I started working as a dentist. So then when my license came in August, I was like, yes! I sent out all of my resume to all the land of New York. I put so much pressure on myself. I put so much pressure. I was like, I need to get this job. I need to get this job. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay my rent. I was pretty much willing to take anything. So the first job that I ended up with it's like in the freaking middle of Queens. It took me 3 trains, 3 subways to get there, and it took me like an hour and a half. But when I nailed that job, I was so happy. I was over the moon. I was so grateful. And I kept that job for maybe 2 to 3 months, and it was just a 1 day a week job. They would pay me based on production. So the production that I got, I can't remember, but it was really low. They didn't have a lot of work for me to do. And oftentimes, like, sometimes I just sat there all day doing a couple fillings and barely making any money. But I was still very happy to have that job. Once I got that job, I put that on my CV right away, and then I put out my resume once again to all the land. Then I started to get a few more calls. What I realized is Getting that first job, getting your foot in, that is the most important thing. If you look like you have no experience, you are fighting an uphill battle, buddy. Once you have that first job, you have more negotiating power. Because one thing that they'll always ask you is, how much do you expect to be paid? How much do you want to be paid? And sometimes they'll word it like this: how much are you being paid at your other job? And whether you have to answer that or not, if you don't have another job, you have nothing to go based on. So you definitely don't want to go low or too low. Then they'll take you and that's how much you're being paid. Like, you need to reserve your negotiating power when it comes to getting a job. So always go a little bit higher. Like my first job, I got paid $400 a day base plus production. And my next job, I said I wanted $450. Then my next job, I said I want a base of $500. So you always go up a little bit. And it's this thing where it's called monkeying. I say this when it comes to dating, and I say this when it comes to jobs. Like, you have to be a monkey. Like, you don't let go of that last branch until you have a new branch. So this whole process is just monkeying your way around until you get that job that you actually like. But in the very, very beginning, take what you can. Get that job on that CV. Once I started having a few jobs on my CV, even though they were not quality jobs to me, it looked like I had quite a lot of experience by the end of a year, because what I did versus what my friends did. My friends would go get a job that was like a 5 days a week job. What I did instead was have a few different jobs. So like, I'd have a job Monday, Wednesdays, I go to one office. Tuesdays, I go to another office. Like Thursday, Friday, I go to another office. And in the end, I decided to go that way because I realized if I'm fired from that one job and I work there 5 days a week, I'm screwed. In this way, if I'm fired from a job, I will be financially okay. The next thing I started noticing and realizing through all of these interviews is they would ask me, can I do molar endo? Can I do extractions? And obviously, when you first go into these interview situations, you go, yeah, I can do that. What I ended up doing to put myself ahead of the other applicants that all come out at one time, I purchased a portable rotary handpiece, and I purchased the Pro Taper system of a couple of files, and also got a bunch of points. And I just made like a little box that I would go to each office with. And that way, when people ask me, do I do molar endo? I'd say yes. In fact, I have portable rotary system. Whether or not they have that already in the office or not, it puts you apart because now this employer knows that you actually do this procedure. So don't purchase all this stuff if you're not good at endo anyway, but that's what I said. And once I got that, I started getting a lot of jobs, and I started being able to be a little bit more choosy about the jobs that I got. Now the last question that they always ask, every employer asks this, is how fast can you do a crown? Well, in dental school, you can do a crown in 3 hours. Nobody's gonna hire you if you say that you can do a crown in 2 hours. And unfortunately, when you just graduate from residency or dental school, you don't actually know how fast you can go because you haven't been in a situation where you're timed and you need to go fast in order to make money because somebody's watching you, making sure that you don't go over past the schedule. So that is the hard part. You don't know how fast you can go. So this is one of those things where you have to fake it a little bit until you make it. So for me, I could do a crown in around 2 hours when I was in residency. So when I was interviewing, I would say that I could do my crowns in an hour and a half. That's a good amount of time. Like for me now, I still think an hour and a half is average. Like it's not super fast, it's not super slow. So I started saying that, and then I would be blocked off an hour and a half to perform a crown. So it's not like you just say it and you get the job. You have to now show up and show them that you could do it. People won't just hire you, okay? People won't just be like, okay, you're hired. Oftentimes you're gonna leave the interview and be like, it was nice to meet you. You follow up with them and they say, hey, yeah, it was nice to meet you. Can you do a working interview on this day? So don't do working interviews that are not paid. During that working interview, most of the time they will line up specific procedures to see if you can do them within the time frame. And what one of my bosses would do, and what some people do, is they'll make you do like a class 2 filling, and they'll have the assistant take an x-ray of it afterwards so that they can make sure that you are filling it properly. So that working interview is oftentimes more nerve-wracking, but the number one thing is to show up, be on time, be professional, and be really nice to the assistant. This is also a working interview for you. If the place is a mess, if it's not working efficiently, if they're like super behind and it's like really like crazy, it may not be the right place for you. Keep in mind, it's a two-way street. I really wanted that first job in order to get my foot in the door, and there's value in that. But after a few, you are the deciding factor of whether you want a job or not. You want to fight for how much you want to be paid, and you want to fight for the environment in which you work every day. But you do not want to be unreasonable because you are still a brand new dentist. 1 year out of school is not a lot of experience. What else? If I forgot anything, please leave a comment down below. Please introduce yourself and what you're going through, and I will try to address those in another video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one.